Hey everybody, welcome back to the Golden Bolt. I am still Kevin. You gotta stop asking me. It's becoming a problem now. So, we just watched the Ratchet Clank movie, and I brought a couple of my friends on to discuss it with me, and they all have different histories with the series, but I figured we could get 3 different perspectives. It was gonna be 4, but we're gonna get 3 different perspectives on this, and we're just kinda gonna spitball for a little bit and just discuss it. So, first up, go ahead, Nico.
I'm Nico. I'm a new gamer. I'm new to the series, and I think this movie was a good experience for me, and it's going to be a good experience for you too.
Did you just quote yourself from a review?
Yeah, dude, that was pretty well scripted.
That was like you literally. We don't have a script, by the way. I'm just gonna go over that real quick. We don't have a script, obviously. I have a list that we wrote down just now. We literally just got out of the movie. It is midnight right now.
We work at 7 a.m. because we're idiots.
Yeah.
Not me.
Speaking of which, get a job, hippie.
I have a job. I just work during the week.
Let's let Jake go ahead and introduce himself. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm Jake. I have, intermediate experience with it. I watched Kevin and a couple of our other friends play through, the first few games. So I'm kind of like a middle ground between Kevin and Nico. So I get a lot of the fan servicey stuff, but I'm not into it as much as Kevin is.
And obviously, the channel name indicates that I am a huge fan of Jak and Daxter. So we're going to discuss the Jak and Daxter movie in detail today. Jak
and Daxter is the best game ever made.
Yeah. That was the joke, folks.
Or was it?
We're good at this. We're real good at this.
This is why I have 30 subscribers.
To all 30 of you out there listening, I don't have a message for you. I was lying. I was lying to you.
Don't smoke and chew bubblegum at the same time. You'll end up eating nicotine.
I don't think most of
Good call.
I don't think this is going in.
No, it's not.
Okay, so let's just go over real quick what experience we have with the series, and that way you guys can get a good grasp on our level of experience. I know Jake mentioned a little bit just now, but we might as well go. Obviously, I have played every single game in the series, including both phone games. It is very canon to this movie. That's important. Nico, go ahead.
I'm very bad at video games. I have only...
He's not kidding, folks.
I have only played this one game in this series, but I like it a lot. I'm almost finished with it, and that is a feat in itself. And yes, I'm also the inventor of the Crub.
He is, in fact, the inventor of whatever the hell the Crub is.
Yeah. So anyway... I like I said, I watched a bunch of our friends play through the first Ratchet game, 75% through before starting over at 20 different points over the course of 15 years. So when I was watching Kevin play through the 2016 version, I was going down all sorts of nostalgia trips. We played a lot of is Deadlocked the Gladiator one?
Jake and I played Deadlocked. We played first person Deadlocked co-op,
which was
actually surprisingly good. It wasn't, but the game, it was fun.
What is Deadlocked?
For anyone who doesn't know, Deadlocked it was the 4th game in the series. It was a spin-off. It's the closest thing to a spin-off game we had until All for One. It still plays like the rest of the games, but it's entirely focused on arena combat.
Oh, yeah, that reminds me. The first game I actually beat in the series was All for One, which of course is nothing like it, but he'll get to that eventually.
That's right.
But there is one, what game?
Tools of Destruction.
I beat Tools of Destruction.
Sounds like a Metallica album.
It is. It's their best album. Anyway, we have 3 different perspectives on this series here. One super fan, one new fan, and one person who's been a kind of not really follower, I would say.
I like it more than Jack, not as much as Sly.
Yeah. And we were going to have a 4th person here. He hasn't played any of the Ratchet games at all. He ditched us. So a special shout out to Soul. Boo.
Go eat your food somewhere else, Soul. No one likes you.
Now that we've introduced ourselves, let's go a little bit more into the movie, because that's kind of the point here, and we've spent a lot of time doing nothing.
Just put this on a blooper reel.
Hey, man, every podcast I've ever listened to does nothing for the first 15 minutes. It's okay.
We gotta do some advertising.
So, general thoughts. We're gonna get into spoilers later, folks, and I will put a spoiler tag up for everybody, and we'll skip it. But for now, let's just go into the basics of the movie, what we thought, and stuff like that. So, anybody want to open up with anything?
I liked it.
Good.
It was $15.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
so for those of you who have a $15 movie, like a more expensive movie theater, you might want to wait for this one to come out on DVD. Not because it wasn't good, it was very good, but $15
Okay.
is
The DVD
a
is
lot.
the DVD is $40. Don't do that.
Okay, wait for it to come out.
We also saw it in 3D. I figured that might be worth
they were the
mentioning.
only showing we could get through because I had work today was in 3D. So we saw it in 3D.
$40?
It is a Blu-ray, digital DVD, HD combo.
I mean, wow. So,
Since when am I the person that's on topic?
hey man, high prices gives you gas, huh?
Yes, it is $40. It is a Blu-ray, DVD, HD digital combo pack.
Nobody needs that.
I know, but I have to buy
Be
it.
surprised.
Okay,
I don't
but
believe it comes
anyway-
with anything else.
Anyway, so yeah, I have a secondary movie theater that I go to, and it is $5, and it would have been underpaying for this movie, whereas $15 is overpaying, but not by much because it's a very good movie.
It is not a good 3D movie. I will say that. I swapped the glasses on and off a little bit just to see what it was like. And I don't know if you've ever taken your glasses off during a 3D movie, but normally you get there's a lot of motion blur. They double the picture and make it so it looks like it's 3D. I don't know how it works.
Okay, so basically,
we're not doing that.
no, but there are movies that
Tech lessons with Nico.
I'm not going to talk about the tech. I know about the tech. I'm not going to talk about it.
So, anyway, usually that kind of stuff gives me headaches, but it didn't this time. So, if you don't like 3D, but you have to see it 3D anyway, as long as you're okay with spending a little bit more, which doesn't really matter, yeah, do it, because it was actually bearable for me.
Yeah, because a lot of movies that are made for 3D, do the thing where they it's in 3D, and I know you can't see it, but I'm pushing my hand closer to where the camera would be.
Very suggestively, I might add.
And this movie did not do that. It was clearly just made as a movie and made into 3D as a secondary thing.
So, like Nico said, I liked it. Obviously, I enjoyed it. It was a little better than I thought it was going to be. First off, I want to open with this. I should have said this earlier. Do not listen to the reviews. I don't care if you are a fan of Ratchet and Clank or not. Do not listen to the reviews for this movie. There are maybe 3. I've read through most of them because I was curious, and this film has like a 9 on Rotten Tomatoes. It's being called one of the worst animated films of all time, and it does not deserve that in the slightest. Animation-wise, it's okay. I actually didn't notice too many of the problems that they were mentioning, but I'm not an animation guy, so I can't speak to that front. There are a couple issues. There was one scene where Quark has like a jetpack thing going on, and he's like floating, and his leg extends the wrong way, like at his knee, and that was a little weird.
He didn't really have knees.
He doesn't have knees. He doesn't have legs.
They very clearly didn't build these with skeletons.
Well, they're all alien races.
Well, it's not even so much that. It's also a little note here. The film's budget was estimated. I've heard 12 million. I've heard 20 million. It tends to be around 15 million for this movie, which for an animated movie, this might be the lowest budgeted animated movie to ever get a wide release. I would say. I don't know how true that is, but that's a pretty good guess. Mm-hmm. It's a very low budget movie, and it does show. It very much shows.
Yeah, and maybe not animated movie of all time, but definitely
CG.
Definitely a 3D animated movie.
Yeah, I should say like a Pixar style CG movie.
Right. And coming off of, all the Disney Pixar ads right before the movie, I did notice that it was a little bit stiff.
Yes, very stiff.
But not nearly as stiff as the later portions of the game.
Yeah, that is a good point. But anyway, my point was, to get off my little digression there, don't trust the reviews for this unless you have read a review or watched a review of somebody who has any familiarity with the series. Because anyone who doesn't seems to have a lot of, I don't want to say bias, but it's pretty much bias against game films in general. And even if this film is considered bad, this is probably still at this moment the best game film of all time. I think that's not a stretch to say at all, and I'm not saying that as a Ratchet fan. I'm saying that as there are no good game films.
Meanwhile,
there's Doom, and I made that joke in the theater, but I'm going to make it again, dang it.
Doom is the best movie ever made.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, and one of you guys said this in the theater.
Doom is actually bad, by the way.
Definitely wasn't me, but Angry Birds is going to be the highest grossing video game film.
You just wait for the Call of Duty movie.
That is a shame. It's not an animated... It's a video game.
Hardcore Henry's already coming out, so that's the Call of Duty movie right there.
I think Warcraft is going to take it after Angry Birds.
Warcraft's having a movie.
Yeah, it looks pretty bad.
Dude, you just changed my life.
It looks decent. I'm not going to joke around because people will hate me for it.
I don't think they care.
Yeah, you're right.
To all 40 of you out there.
Thank you. I actually mean that. That was...
To all 50 of you out there.
Okay, now
we're stretching. Hey, man.
To the thousands of subscribers I've amassed over the centuries.
If you're watching this in the future and I have subscribers, thank you.
I got them, apparently.
It is all Jake.
Damn right. Yep. You don't know.
So let's...
He's filling in the void, eating at Arby's.
So Jake, what were your general thoughts? Because we actually haven't even...
I was just kind of quiet. I liked it. It wasn't... I don't think it was terribly great. It seemed to go by real quick, because a lot of it seemed kind of rushed to me, but I guess I'm just used to, like, the fillery stuff.
No, the movie's 94 minutes long, I believe, was the official length. It is a very short movie. It's a kid's movie. This game is first and foremost a kid's movie. That said, it's a lot more family friendly than, again, the critics, you shouldn't listen to them, but the critics let on that it was entirely a kid's movie. But there are a lot of jokes that I actually enjoyed. Outside of the fact that it's a Ratchet, the Ratchet jokes are all pretty solid.
We'll get to them.
Yeah, but the actual just jokes themselves were okay. There were a few where they just kind of repeated it. There's this one guy who just screams, like this is literally, he's a Blarg character, and Drek says a thing, and then this character just shouts the same thing into a microphone, and they do it like 5 times, and it's not funny. So they do kill some jokes in this one.
They had, like, a recurring mom one, like, at the beginning.
They did it twice, I think, right?
Yeah, they did it at the end, like, later on, no spoilers.
That one was in the trailer. They showed that one in one of the trailers, so... they bring that joke back. It's not very good. The Blarg all like to text, which... That seemed like a bunch of 40-year-old dudes saying, oh, this is what kids do.
Oh, yeah, there was one time when Quark was, like, making a Twitter post with, like,
his Instagram thing. That was terrible. That was
brag.
That was humble brag, yeah. That was terrible. But yeah, like I was saying, visually it's not spectacular. I
think the game looked way better.
But the game looks so better than the movie. I can say that with pretty good confidence.
The game is beautiful. I mean, not the
some of the cutscenes are stiff at times.
There were actually, like, I didn't know this, but, like, a lot of the cutscenes I saw when I was watching Kevin play are actually from the movie. Like, there was a surprising amount of it.
Yeah. That said, I'm going to get into this later, but the game has no reason to have skipped out on, like, 4 movie cutscenes that are not in that are not in the game at all. I'm going to get into that because I have a big issue with that later, and I know Nico and I were whispering. I actually shouldn't say whispering. We were like one of 5 people in the theater, so we were able to talk audibly.
The 3 of us were one of 5.
No, actually, no. There might have been 6. I think there might have been 6 people.
It doesn't really matter. One guy walked in like right as the movie
I thought he
was
walked
starting.
out again afterwards. Visually, it was okay. The voice performances were actually better than I thought they're going to be. I'm not going to lie. All the game actors are so solid.
Oh God, Nefarious is like
Nefarious is. So he's perfect in this movie. Him and Quark I think they are the breakout stars of this movie, which is weird because it's a Ratchet and Clank movie.
I mean, Ratchet and Clank. I mean, Clank's always got that amazing.
Clank's always got David Kaye is a
good.
fantastic voice actor. You can't take that away from him.
And plus, he did all of the computer voices pretty much.
He almost always does. He's so good.
Oddly enough, like Grimm's voice, John Goodman. I mean, I like John Goodman, but I think he was actually probably my favorite, like, actual. Like, performance.
Yeah. I mean, he
was solid. He wasn't in the movie much.
He's just straight up a good actor.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, Sly, I didn't even recognize Sly, but he's like...
Sly Stallone. Sylvester Stallone. Not Sly, the video game character.
Yeah, Sylvester Stallone...
He was actually pretty good.
He was good. I didn't recognize him.
There were some lines that were really bad.
Yeah.
And every character had a line or two that were really bad. Even James Arnold Taylor as Ratchet.
I mean, he had some cheese in there a little bit.
Well, there was one, and that one's in the game, and it's a spoiler, so I'll get to that later. But there's one line I remember that it just does not sound... It sounds like a 40-year-old man writing a script that a kid would listen to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And everything else comes off as natural. You can tell that either he tweaked it himself, because I know he does go into the games, and he'll say, I think Ratchet would say this way instead of this way, and because they know their characters. They've been doing this for 15 years almost,
And, I mean, I think that the girl, what's her name?
Bella Thorne.
Chloe Grace Moretz. She needs to stop talking.
What?
If you watch the review of Ratchet 2016, I did not like Bella Thorne's game performance, but her movie performance wasn't that bad.
It wasn't.
I disagree. I think she needs to stop talking because
she is.
Every time she opened,
she did phenomenally better.
She did better.
Just not.
Okay, yeah, it was definitely miles better, but at the same time, you can't
Which is, she was much more minor in the movie than she was in the game, because in the game they kind of shoved her down your throat, right?
I mean, yeah. It's like putting glitter on a number 2. You can't. I mean, she's just bad.
Okay, hold on. I do want to say her delivery is not bad in the movie that much. She just adds extra edge to every line she says.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's
so
the problem.
She sounds like she's trying to be like a high school theater kid.
Yeah.
And not to stereotype high school theater kids. I apologize to.
Don't worry about their feelings. They have none.
They have a ton of them. They have too many.
Yeah, I know. That's why they're in theater.
Yeah, that's a different story for another day.
Should probably edit that out.
Bottom line, Bella Thorne put too much emphasis where it didn't need to be, and it broke my immersion in the film. And I think she needed to just stop talking before the stupid came out of her mouth.
That was a long way.
On the other hand, the other female member,
Rosario Dawson.
Yeah, she was. I thought she was very good.
She was real good. Even in the game, she was really good. Mm-hmm. I would like to see that character come back.
I
in
don't
more
see any
quantity.
reason she won't. I hope she comes back.
I don't think she'll be back in any games. They've gotten rid of too many female characters, and Talwyn from the Future series, she is a fan favorite, and her and Ratchet have this little love story-ish going on, and they're great for each other, and I don't think that they should add another female character in just to shoehorn at the last minute.
Well, she wasn't really close to Ratchet.
No, she was close to Clank.
Yeah.
Her and Clank had her and Clank are closer than Ratchet and Clank, actually. Because Ratchet and Clank, this movie is about Ratchet. And I hope the sequel movie is about Clank, if they do a sequel movie.
Well, there was actually a solid 20 minutes, just no Ratchet or Clank for that matter. It was just everyone else.
There was more 10 minutes, but yes. There was a good chunk where it was just plot. And it wasn't it wasn't bad, it was just a plot.
I mean, on one hand, which
is good.
I like the way they handled the character development, because Ratchet and Clank, there was never any sort of unnecessary edginess between them, and the most that it was Ratchet kind of ignoring him, but not really on purpose. And they still gave a few points to show that they were still friends.
I'm surprised that Clank likes Ratchet as much in this game as he, or in this film, in this universe, as he does, because Ratchet kind of cuts him off a lot, and Clank has no reason to like Ratchet.
He also lies to him at the very beginning.
Actually, yes. That's not really a spoiler either. We'll get there. I don't want to go too much on actual plot yet. The music.
There was music. I'm the kind of person that doesn't really pay much attention.
There was music. Most of it was one song. It's literally just a really bad Indiana Jones sounding theme.
Yeah,
and they repeat it 6 times.
Yeah, they really tried to play up the action with that one song.
It does not work.
And it, minimalism.
There wasn't really much action.
Minimalism.
That's true. Yeah.
Minimalism in music.
There was a good bit near the end of the movie. They cut out all music, and I thought that was the best part musically they did. And I don't mean that as an insult to the soundtrack.
No, it's not. It's absence of music has to be used just as much as presence of music. And when it comes to minimalism, there's this guy, he does all the work for Pixar and stuff. I forget his name. Thomas Newman, I think. And he is a minimalist, artist, and it's really cool because he just loops the same thing a lot, but it's also progresses throughout the movie.
Yeah.
As opposed to this, which I didn't notice any musical motives following the characters around or anything, which is good practice in film score.
It was going through the motions, if anything. It was because they needed a score, so they put it in, and I don't think it works at all.
It's definitely not the kind you'll download and listen to.
They have a soundtrack for this. They released the soundtrack for the movie before they did for the game. And I'm not sure why, because the movie does not need. I
know why, but
because they want the money.
Yeah,
because this movie is not going to perform well. Mm-hmm. Like I said, we were one of 6 people in theaters.
Admittedly, it was the last showing.
It was
late. We started. It was started at 10.
But it's because it's a kids movie centered. There wasn't. It's definitely not a date movie. You know what I mean? There's no romantic subtext, and they wouldn't have hyped it up anyway.
Oh, see, but I thought that was a strong point.
Well, yeah. I agree. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but
I thought that was a strong point because I hate when movies put an unnecessary romance. Sure. I've never seen Pearl Harbor.
If I'm going to watch Pearl Harbor, I'm going to watch the explosions.
Yeah, it was doesn't matter. It was pretty much a romantic plot.
No, that's all. No, that's it. Michael Bay. That's all we need to hear.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, the music is nothing to write home about. The budget is really low, so don't expect much going into it, and you'll turn out pretty well. Don't expect too little because it's a solid movie.
Yeah, but if you
go in with low expectations, you'll just end up happy. So.
If you go in just expecting to be entertained, you'll be entertained.
Yeah.
Yes, but I think as a Ratchet fan, you shouldn't expect a huge plot going on here. I know TJ Fixman, for you Ratchet fans. I know he wrote the plot, the story for this at least. But from what I understand, he wrote the first draft, and then creative differences got in the way.
Even still, the plot was definitely, at least the twists in it, were handled a bit better, if not, like I said...
They're handled much better than in the game.
Definitely.
But we'll get there.
Oh my god, yeah.
So for Ratchet fans, there is a lot to look forward to in this movie. There is so much fan service here, and it's really well done. It's never forced in your face at all. It's all to the side, and Ratchet fans will eat this up.
Do you want to just, you say one, I say one? Nico doesn't really know these.
Well, there was... when they introduced Alaris, this was shown in trailers, I think, once or twice, or in previews.
Walrus?
Alaris. When they introduce her, she is playing Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal's multiplayer. Or a modified version of it, at least. And it's just a nice little touch like that. I have a list here. I'm just going to go down the list. They introduced Dallas and Juanita from Ratchet Deadlocked, and they're both reporters, and I thought that was a really cool touch, too, because they're both just normal reporters in this one, whereas in Deadlocked they are play-by-play announcers for gladiator fights.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool touch, because they actually, they're not terribly important, but they get more screen time than you'd expect.
They actually probably get as much screen time as, John Goodman, almost. They get a lot of screen time, which is weird.
They don't get, an uplifting monologue, but...
Yeah, wait, they got about as much as John Goodman.
Combined, at least.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, one character I wish got at least one speaking role was a plumber, who did appear in the background of one scene, but, I'm not expecting him to jump into a sewer pipe
twice.
I'd love to happen.
I have no clue who the plumber is.
He's the plumber.
Dude, it doesn't matter.
Okay, whatever. They bring back fan favorite. There's so many weapons in this game.
There's so many good ones.
There are so many good choices for weapons. A lot of them are from the PS3 games because Insomniac, when this movie was first being planned, Insomniac lent a lot of their character models and their weapon models to Rainmaker, I believe, was the studio that did the production, and they let them use all these models, and that's why this movie had such a low budget. Is because Insomniac said, they took a first-hand approach to it. They wanted to be there for this movie, which was really awesome.
And they were all used very well. All of their uses were done incredibly well. And I'm not going to have any spoilers. Well, not all of them, but
I would disagree.
The use of the wrench was fantastic, and we'll probably get into that
they used
a bit more.
Well, I don't think, for a Ratchet and Clank experience, I don't think they use them enough. And I get it's a kids' film, and I get the guns are bad, but I don't...
Yeah, I mean...
That's debatable, but that's a story for another day.
I like the guns that they used. I like the way they used them. They didn't use the wrench much, but I like that Clank almost used a regular wrench.
They all have impact. I'll say that much. They're not overused, but for a series that's focused on weaponry, most of the weapons are just kind of thrown in there for the sake of having more weapons.
And not to say anything about spoilers, but the Rhino was implemented very well.
There's a Rhino. They showed that in one part, I believe. And
I'm not going to say how or when or why, but the Mr. Zircons I thought were just a
Mr.
great
Zircon
idea.
is used, but there's other stuff too. There's a little
boxes in the background.
There's crates everywhere.
Yeah, I love it.
I know Nico said to me in the movie, and I almost laughed. I audibly laughed. I was bad. He said Clank's walking by a bunch of boxes, and he goes, "Why aren't you breaking those? I want the bolts."
Yeah, it was frustrating. He didn't break them.
There's one bit early on where Clank can't determine what species Ratchet is. And Ratchet says, "Oh, I'm a Lombax." But when they go through Clank's viewpoint, they show Ratchet from Clank's first-person view, and Clank's going through his database of different species, and they show 3 specific things. They show Daxter, which was awesome.
Sly Cooper. They show Sly Cooper last, but I figured this one has most, or this is the coolest.
This one is the coolest. They showed the Sly Cooper as maybe a little hint because it's the Sly Cooper from the movie.
No, I mean this next one.
I know.
Yeah.
But it's a cool note that it is the really badly designed Sly Cooper model from the movie, which may or may... I don't think the movies for Sly is going to happen at this point. If they do, they're going to redo it, but... Anyway, the middle one was, for any Insomniac fans, it's Dan Johnson. For anyone who doesn't know who Dan Johnson is, he was an Insomniac employee from way back. I believe Spyro 1 was his first game. I could be wrong.
Oh, damn.
There was an in-joke where they would put him in every game in some way, shape, or form, because he was apparently this genuine, awesome guy, and he was really funny. And they put his texture, a texture of his face on the coins in Spyro 1, 2, and 3. In Ratchet 1, they put... Dan Johnson's face is on the seashells on Planet Poketaru. It's the texture zoomed in, and it's also like it's somewhere else. There's a bunch of different places where it's at, and then
playable. He was a bunch of costumes.
He ended up passing away, I believe, in 2006, and Ted Price, the owner creator of Insomniac, then said, he's so important to the company that they want to honor him in every game from there on out. And as far as I know, they have, at least in every Ratchet game. And it was awesome to see that in this movie. Just that little extra touch that it was nice. It was really, really nice.
One thing I really liked is at one point Ratchet, he was doing something or another. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. You'll learn when you're older. But if you played the games, you'll probably know a lot during the platforming segments when he opens up a door or something. He sticks his wrench onto a bolt and walks around it to unscrew it.
Yep.
Yeah, the bolt crank. He does that in the movie, which I thought was a nice touch.
And it's an important part of the movie too. So I think that was oh, that's awesome. There was one which was I think we all laughed at that one.
Yeah.
There's a scene. It's during the beginning of the movie almost. There's a fight scene going on, and this one robot gets knocked off a ledge, and he does the Wilhelm scream. For those of you who don't know what the Wilhelm scream is,
put a sample
just look it up. So the guy the robot falls off the edge, and then his robot buddy screams Wilhelm, which was just it was so stupid, but it was awesome.
The first time I'd ever seen a movie directly reference it.
It was
pretty meta.
Using it.
And older fans will love that.
Older fans of movies in general.
There was your favorite line from the little kid.
The little kid.
There's this little kid. He's in the movie 4 times.
Oh my god, this kid.
He shows up at Ranger tryouts, and
he wasn't funny for the rest of the movie. But the first time he showed up was right after Ratchet does a thing.
Ratchet tries out for the Rangers,
yeah,
and then doesn't get in, obviously.
Yeah, I didn't know if we were doing spoilers.
That's part of the trailers.
Okay, well, yeah. So either way, this kid right after Ratchet. What's his face? Captain Quark was like,
next.
Well, fine. He was basically like, we'll find someone else. And then the little kid is like, I have 3 deadly katas that I want to show you. And I just laughed at his delivery. It was really funny.
It was really good.
And one more thing. They had the Richard Simmons reference.
Yeah, early on there's a reference to Richard Simmons, just a bunch of robots just doing dancercising. Is that what it's called? Jazzercising.
Yeah, they did sweat into the oldies, but it was all these robots, and they were doing one-arm push-ups, and Ratchet was like, yeah, I got this. I'm ready to go. He did one, and he was like, I'm done.
With the little kid, I did like his second delivery, which was they end up on Kirwan in Alero City, which formerly known as Metropolis, and they're there, and Quark's saying something along the lines of, I don't know why we need to get another Ranger. Then the little kid is hooked on his boot, and he's like, I'm your biggest fan.
Oh yeah,
and then Quark just throws him away, just kicks him.
Save yourself.
Well, after a few minutes,
he said save yourself.
Yeah, save yourself, and then the kid, you can't even hear it because the music's so loud and obnoxious. But he goes, I love you, and it was so stupid.
It seems like that make me feel bad for
I didn't hear that.
I didn't either. No, I feel bad for I have a tendency to actually feel bad for characters for no reason.
That character was so obnoxious, but it was great.
Alright, there's an old man at the beginning, and I felt so bad for him, because have you ever gone to the mechanic and you just wanted one thing done, and the mechanic's like, no, I'm going to charge you
hydraulics.
$5,000 more dollars? Yeah,
hey man.
It happened to him, because Ratchet's kind of a... Oh, jeez.
To quote him, he's carefree.
Hey, man, that old kid needed to learn how to drive.
Ratchet even broke his walker, and also ejected him.
Ratchet did not...
The only thing he wanted was the ejector seat.
Ratchet did not break his walker. His walker smashed into the rock wall after they were driving and stopped. Ratchet saved that man's life. Okay?
Right. You're absolutely right. How could I ever be so wrong?
That old coot needed to learn how to drive. He probably shouldn't have had a license in the first place. He probably hasn't had it renewed in 13 years.
I want to know how he got to a shop in the middle of the desert without a car. Did somebody drop him off? There's
taxis.
Carefully.
Right. So one time a taxi driver got his car hijacked, and he was yelling for another taxi who was falling. Keep in mind they have hover cars. He probably
if you've never seen Ratchet Clank review, watch mine.
Was that the breakaway ad segment right there?
Sponsored by Mountain Dew Pitch Black. It's bad.
No. Kevin, you shouldn't do brand deals.
Sponsored by Mountain Dew, the purple one. They also sponsor the Super Bowl.
Mountain Dew, the purple one.
Yeah.
That should be the name of this.
The purple one with the puppy monkey baby.
That is Kickstart. That is not Mountain Dew purple.
Yeah, it's purple.
No.
No, the only real flavor of Kickstart's purple. That's neither here nor there.
Sponsored by Mountain Dew.
Please sponsor us.
Please don't.
No, please do.
I would drink too much Mountain Dew. Okay, so with all of that, oh my god, with all that time we just spent talking about basics, let's get into the plot in a little bit more detail.
Oh, that's what we're calling it now, basics.
38 minutes of basics.
That's insensitive of you. How could you say that? People first language, Kevin.
You're triggering me.
So now we spent 39 minutes on the basics. We're gonna go into. Actually, hold on. Before we do that, I should say let's give it like a good ranking first. Let's actually go through and
Oh boy.
I don't normally rank movies, but
are we gonna give them bolts? Wait, if you get bolts, can I get a different thing?
No, I mean now you said it, so we're all doing bolts.
Can I get
I'm gonna rate mine in clovers.
No.
Wait, no, we both. No, wait, yeah, you got a plant, I got a fungus.
I liked the movie. If you're a Ratchet and Clank fan,
You know what? I'm gonna rate mine by type of camouflage.
Are we doing this? Are we? I put a lot of work into this channel. I spent a while thinking of these concepts, and we're just gonna throw it away. That's fine. It's fine. It's just.
I'm gonna rate it by. I'm gonna rate it by dwarf planets in the Kuiper Belt.
It's fine. It's fine. Okay, so now we spent 41 minutes discussing the basics of this. God, this is gonna be fun to edit. Let's just give a little bit of ranking overall to this. Just how much you liked it. We can do scale out of 1 to 10 or 8. 8 like letter rankings. I'm
gonna give it out of 5, like a total overall.
Yeah.
Overall, I give it a solid 3 Lombaxes out of 5.
There's only one Lombax in the galaxy.
Okay, I give it a solid
one in the galaxy.
Okay.
I give it a solid 3 Galactic Rangers out of 5.
Okay, that was good. I like that's the 4th time we've tried that, and Nico, it might be in. I might have kept it in. So go ahead and go back 2 minutes. I'll put a little link in the description for you.
Well, I'm gonna give it out of a 12. I'm gonna give it
Why?
12's not even a prime number.
You're right. All right, out of 2, I'm gonna give it a 1.
So it got a 50%.
No, it's
a pass-fail class.
I was gonna give it like a decimal point, but like I don't care.
You're terrible. That's worse than me rating it by shades of camouflage.
All right. On a scale of Mario characters, I give it like a Bowser Jr. because it's like it's like better than Princess Daisy, but not quite as good as Luigi or Egad.
I give it an urban camouflage because it's a little bit red and sometimes black.
Just like my poops.
Kevin, you gotta get that checked out. What's wrong with you?
We're terrible at rating things.
To give it an actual rating, I genuinely enjoyed it. It's got a lot of problems. It's first and foremost the budget. I think the movie has faults, mostly due to the director. There's not really much direction to this movie for a while. Things just kind of happen. I think the first 15 minutes is Ratchet just driving. I would say if I had to give it like a 1 to 10 kind of ranking, I would give it 6.5, maybe a 7. I enjoyed it, but as a movie, it is not that great. It's not bad. It's passable and it's enjoyable for what it is.
It's definitely entertaining.
Yeah, like I said, it is the best video game movie of all time, and the fact that is a 6.5 is kind of sad still.
Like we just gotta wait for Sly Cooper.
Oh,
we gotta wait for Angry Birds.
Angry Birds, 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Best movie.
We gotta wait for Tetris, the movie.
Did they do that yet?
No, I think Rooster Teeth did a fake trailer.
I'm sorry,
which was awesome.
This might be the second best video game movie of all time, behind Phoenix Wright.
Wait a minute.
That came out.
A movie?
Yeah.
Not like an anime movie.
No, I'm talking like live action. His hair is fantastic.
Okay, you better cut to a picture of that in the podcast at this moment.
Well, now that you said it, I'm not. I'm going to take the picture off right now.
Damn, it was already on. It came preloaded with the podcast.
It was going to be the whole picture till just then. I'm doing that.
That's good. It's good.
That's it.
That's it. Anyway, so now come the spoilers. We've given you our general thoughts on it, and now we're going to go into the...
This is the sound for spoiler alert.
Is that it?
That's it.
For anyone who's gotten this far, I am sorry. Thank you for watching. Listening, I should say. I hope you haven't been watching a picture of Phoenix Wright for 40 minutes.
Hey, there was that, 1 second he wasn't up there.
Yeah, you're right. I genuinely hope you guys go and see the movie. It's worth it if you're a Ratchet and Clank fan, and if you're getting into the series, especially if you're playing the game, watch the movie first. I'm saying that now. I'm going to end on that. Watch the movie first before you play the game, for reasons I will get into when you finish the movie and come back and listen to us, hopefully. So, spoiler territory. The movie begins with Planet Tenemule. It's an uninhabited planet being destroyed by the Deplanetizer. They show off Drek, played by Paul Giamatti, by the way. They showed off Victor Von Ion, who is played by Sylvester Stallone, and again, he is surprisingly good.
Sly did a really, really good job in this movie.
There's an ominous bit there of, we're bad guys. And they show Ratchet as, doing his jazzercising thing.
Yeah.
And then he goes to the Ranger tryouts. He and Grimm fight for a minute or two about, you set your standards lower, Ratchet. And so Ratchet goes, he fails the test, or he passes the test, I guess, and he fails the...
You don't know if he passes or not in the movie.
Well, yeah, they actually don't show it in the game.
They don't tell you in the movie that he passes the test, but in the game, and I'm assuming it's canon, in the game he passes the test.
And then they say no.
And because Quark is a jealous person, he's just
which is very important.
No.
Yes, that will be very important. So anyway, Ratchet gets sad and he's like, I'm hopeless, so on and so forth. But then they skip over to Clank and they show Nefarious and his Warbot factory. They show Clank being created as a actual complete mistake. They don't in the game's version of events, they don't show the lightning strike that causes it, which kind of hints at later plot developments from the game series. That it wasn't just an accident that it happened. They show Victor chasing Clank, and they explain the whole motive of, we're going to destroy the Rangers so we can move forward with our plan to make New Core 2. Drek wants to make a new planet because he lived underground his whole life because his father's company polluted the planet or something.
There's a few things right there that kind of bother me a little bit. When Sylvester Stallone is chasing Clank, they took out all the gameplay part, which makes complete sense. And I like that because in the game they made him look weak. But as far as Drek's development, they took away all of it.
A little bit, yes.
You don't know why he's doing what he's doing until later on in the movie, and it's one sentence.
If you're a fan of Drek in the first game, you might be upset at Drek in the movie. Drek in the new game, I actually liked a good amount because he's only in it for the money, and so was Drek from the first game, but he had sinister reasons for the money. This Drek is purely in it for the money, really. But in the movie, Drek is just kind of there, which I'm okay with for the reason that they did that. I'm okay with Drek being a stupid character. He's not very smart at all.
Yeah, he's kind of soft.
Sponsored by Soft.
SAWFT, soft.
So yeah, Clank ends up on Veldin. You know the story. Ratchet lies and says, "Oh, I'm a ranger," and they go to Kirwan, to Aliro City to help save the Rangers because Clank knows, they're gonna do bad things. Clank then says, "Wait, aren't you a friend of the Rangers?" And because Ratchet says, "Oh, they would know who I am," and then he catches Ratchet in the lie, and that's relatively important. It's not. I mean, it's
because he just lets it go.
Yeah, you're right. It's not important at all. I should lie.
It is important because Clank had no motivation to just let that slide, but he did, and that was
because Ratchet proved himself immediately after.
Well, I think it showed that Ratchet will do whatever he needs to become a ranger, but it's the first of many times that Clank gets slighted by Ratchet. And surprisingly, Clank just doesn't seem to care because it's written in such a way that, no matter what, Clank's his pal, even though they just met 10 minutes ago. It is what it is.
Well, they never seem particularly close, except, I guess towards the end, but they're just kind of both joining at the same time.
They become immediate buddies. That's
they're not quite at the level of, friendo yet, but they're buddies, definitely.
Yeah. And that's fine, I guess, but at least they resolve the plot line. I shouldn't say a plot line. The thread of Ratchet lied to Clank because, like I said in the game review, they did not do that at all.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of would have liked to see a little bit better of a dynamic between the two of them. You know, I'm not talking like JD and Turk level bromance, but like I would have liked to see more synergy among the two of them.
Yes, I agree. Anyway, so they go and they save Alero City. Now, this part I liked, because they didn't show this in the game, and I'm going to keep referencing the game a lot, so, I mean, they have the same plot, so what does it matter? But I like this a lot. They had the Rangers be competent in this fight. In the game, they are useless and things just happen. In the movie, they show them all kind of working together, but they're all in it for the kills. Like, they're all in it just for, oh, I'm shooting things, pew pew, awesome, which is kind of, it takes away from it, but they're competent in this one. In the game, they are not even close to competent at all. And that kind of bugged me. So Ratchet and Clank save the day, and they become immediate heroes, and Quark says, oh, I guess I have to make them Rangers, because he's kind of pressured into it by the crowd. And so that happens.
And Ratchet and Clank get split up immediately.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is that they get to Ranger training, and Ratchet and Clank get split up. Clank goes with Alaris. Alaris, in the terms of the plot, is the tech girl.
Always.
And she references, this is important, she references in that same scene that we see in the game, but they just cut short, she talks to Clank and she references that Nefarious was the last tech person in her position. Nefarious was in the Galactic Rangers. That is important. They don't mention it anywhere in the game. I don't get why that wasn't there. It was 2 seconds of film. And the weird part was when they showed that little poster of Nefarious there, which, why is there a poster of Nefarious on the wall?
Yeah, good question.
Just as kind of a reminder, maybe.
I mean, I guess, but he's supposed to be dead. They think he's dead.
Quark does mention they brought him to prison, like, at the beginning of the Ranger tryouts.
Yes, and in the poster, Nefarious is smiling. Like, he looks genuinely happy. Leaving the Rangers, or being kicked out of the Rangers, made him crazy, because they kept cutting his budget. And they mentioned that in this part in the movie, but they mentioned it later, too.
And they show it throughout the movie that the tech guys never get listened to, because all the heroes just don't care. Which is a term, it's like good development for the people that aren't Quark. And
yes.
Actually Quark, too.
So, anyway, I just wanted to mention that real quick. Things happen, and then Ratchet's famous, and then they go to Quark 2. Literally nothing nothing in the game matters to the plot of the movie.
Skips the entire game.
Skips most of the game, which I get it. The movie came first here.
Eat at Arby's.
What?
Sponsored by Arby's.
We're not actually sponsored by anything, by the way.
So they go to Quark 2 and they plan their attack, and again, Alaris has probably what's a really well thought out plan, and Quark says, no, screw you, we're gonna shoot stuff. And so they shoot stuff, and then they jetpack down onto planet Quark 2. I don't know why they have to jetpack down. Why would you waste fuel? Especially in the game when you get to Quark 2.
Maybe they're holding R1.
Ratchet runs out of fuel as soon as the gameplay takes over. I don't get it. It doesn't matter. It's stupid, but it was a weird little nitpick that I had that I couldn't really mention in the review because there's no part for that. They get ambushed, Drek knows they're coming, and the Zircons show up.
Love it.
That was fantastic. That was a great way to bring Zircon in. They actually changed the voice for Zircon, though. They replaced it with some generic movie actor, I think. Either that or they redid the lines, but they didn't sound...
Changed it from the game or changed
from
it...
the game. The game Zircon did not change at all, but the movie Zircon sounded slightly different.
There are a few other things to note here.
I disagree. I thought it sounded like the same person.
It was if it was the same person, they re-recorded it. But
Okay, if they did anything different to it, I, as a new audience member, did not notice it.
I could tell because it wasn't as deep. It was almost as deep. It might have just been because it was a different studio. Even something like that could do it. It shouldn't do it, but it could have.
Yeah, there are a few other things to note about this mission, though. Like Clank had to go with Ratchet, so he wore him like a backpack, which up to that point in the movie they hadn't done.
Yeah,
because gameplay it's absolutely necessary, but in the movie, not until now.
That's the first time.
Yeah, because they needed Clank because he had the schematics.
He was born on Quark 2.
And aside from that, it also showcased Ratchet like getting skilled with his weapons because he had a really precise shot. Earlier in the movie, he was learning how to do all the weapons, and he completely sucked at it. That's another good thing, though. Like, their suits that they wear can, like, make their weapons appear, which is great explanation.
That was a good way to explain it. The gloves that Ratchet has, he thinks a weapon, and the weapon pops into his hands from his arsenal. That was cool. I liked that a lot. And even in the game, they don't mention that in the game at all, but in the game, they show when the weapons are equipped, they teleport in, they're blue, and they glow in. Mm-hmm. And that was I didn't even realize it, but again, the movie and the game are obviously intertwined. And if you watch the movie first, if you haven't played the game yet, I'm going to say that again because there's these little touches here and there like that, and that makes the part of the game even more impressive because the game had to follow the movie, and it's still stellar. Anyway, so on Quark 2, was it on Quark 2 this happens, or was this on the?
Yeah, we're still talking about...
No, this was on Quark 2.
Yeah.
Quark gets chased by Zircons while the other Rangers are doing stuff. Quark gets cornered into a room with Drek. And earlier in the movie, there's a little bit earlier, this scene should have been in the movie, if no other scene.
In the game.
This should have been in the game, I'm sorry. This movie scene should have been in the game. Nefarious convinces Drek to have Quark turn on the Rangers. He plants the seed in Drek's mind, and he says, one person's stealing Quark's thunder, Quark's an idiot, you can easily turn him, and if you turn him, the Rangers fall apart. And that wasn't in the game. I absolutely I will never understand why that scene was not in the game.
Nefarious is included much more in the movie. In the game, he just kind of shows up later on.
Nefarious might have more screen time than Drek in the movie.
Yeah,
he does.
In the movie, it makes complete sense for Nefarious to hijack the plot because you knew it was. I mean, you knew it was going to happen from the beginning, obviously. But it made sense, and he started getting more and more power at the from the progression of the film. You started seeing him overtake Drek as the villain before it actually.
If you're gonna watch this movie for no other reason, you watch it for Quark and Nefarious. I know I said that a little earlier. I'm gonna say it again. They are both absolutely gold in this experience. I cannot,
especially interacting with each other.
Yeah, there's a point later where they interact, and they cut that out of the game too. I don't get it. I get it. It almost seems like that for anybody who watches YouTube. It almost seems like Insomniac was afraid of getting content ID'd for having too many movie scenes. It's ridiculous. I don't know.
Fine Bros are gonna
sponsored by Fine Bros.
Yeah, this is our reaction. Oh my god, this is our reaction to the movie.
React live to TM.
Kevin, we can't say it too much. We'll die.
React. God, why? So anyway, I was trying to go. They kidnap Quark, and they don't kidnap. They trap him, and Drek gets an army of 5 PR guys that start just bombing his head with these different ideas of, oh, you're the victim here. You're the victim. Ratchet did this to you.
Ratchet stole his thunder.
He stole his thunder. He stole your spotlight. He stole your thunder. And Quark agrees to betray the Rangers and then make a comeback later on with a book and a 3-movie deal to make him a hero again because he's the victim here. He's now, to quote the movie, he's not Captain Quark the hero anymore. He's Captain Quark the survivor.
Yeah.
That scene should have been in the movie too. Any scene about Quark getting betrayed, I know it wouldn't have fit in plot-wise exactly where it would have, but they could have explained that away easily. I don't get why they don't show that because it makes Quark's redemption that much better later on. Because it's not his fault. He legitimately just feels attacked by the people of the Solana Galaxy. And I can empathize with that.
He didn't betray them to even kill them. It was the condition that the planet they were going to deplanetize was going to get fully evacuated, all 14 billion of them.
No, that wasn't part of it.
And no. Drek did mention to him that the planet was going to get evacuated, so nobody was going to get hurt, and also that the Rangers wouldn't get attacked. He
convinces Quark to sabotage the Rangers and turn off all their weapons for this attack, and so then Drek says kill them. And so he sends out fighter drones, and they all have to, evacuate. And this is where Sylvester Stallone comes in again, and he hunts down Clank on the Phoenix. Which this fight scene went way too short in the movie, because I actually like Victor's character in the movie a lot more than in the game. He's menacing, he's solid. Some of his lines are stupid, but he calls the Galactic Rangers galactic losers at one point. It's really you're trying to kill them. Don't call them losers. That's kiddie. He's actually a really good character, and the little fight scene with Clank was kind of cool because Clank's running for most of it.
The way 10 seconds of it.
The way they reveal Victor's weakness is terrible. It's hilarious. Alaris tries to attack Victor Von Ion, and Victor throws her onto a water pipe on the Starship Phoenix, and then the water starts coming close to Victor, and Victor gets nervous. Literally, he just gets PTSD. He's oh my god, no, water.
It's like the Wicked Witch of the West.
And it was hilarious. I almost laughed out loud at how bad the execution of that scene was. So Clank gets the Thunder Smack. For any of you Ratchet and Clank fans, it's you know what that is. For those of you who don't play Ratchet and Clank, it's a gun that shoots a thunder cloud. Or a rain, I should say a rain cloud. Also known as a cloud.
Oh, it was a thunder cloud. It did have...
Yes, but it starts raining, and then Victor Von Ion gets turned to rust. Which is a cool way to do it compared to in the game where he just gets electrocuted and dies, which was kind of a stupid. I understand the rust thing a lot more than I do the electrocution part, because if you make a robot, you want to make it waterproof, because they need to have coolant, and the water is normally...
But the rust was ridiculously exaggerated.
Yes, but I guess he was an old bot, and I could kind of see that a little bit. Anyway, so things happen. Quark sees the planet get destroyed. Ratchet tries to save Novalis, and Drek stops him with the magnet launcher. Again, for Ratchet and Clank fans. And, he says, like, oh, you're an idiot. I don't know why you tried that. And then he makes him watch as he destroys Novalis. But
sends him away without, like, killing him. Just kind of...
Because Drek. But on the way there, Ratchet sees Quark on the ship. And Quark's just getting massaged or doing stupid stuff. And... That's the point of betrayal here. Ratchet sees his hero betraying him for no reason at that point in time that he knows of. So Novalis is destroyed. Quark betrays them, but then he realizes, oh my god, that was an awful mistake. People just lost. I just watched a planet get destroyed. And by the way, Cora was born on Novalis. They mention it even less in the movie. They
didn't mention it.
Yeah, in the game they mentioned
Cora,
Bella Thorne.
Oh, ew. I thought we were talking about
Cora.
The Legend of, yeah.
Sponsored by The Legend of Cora.
You're right.
Anyway.
So then Ratchet goes through his existential crisis because he blames himself despite it not being
his fault
whatsoever.
The line I was talking about earlier, about Ratchet having a really cheesy 40-year-old written for kids line, which is just, he says something, I'm trying to paraphrase it as well as I can. This was my fault. I have to take responsibility for my actions. The delivery is not good. The line's not good, and that's what I blame more than the delivery. But Clank then says like 3 words and
like almost word for word what he said.
Like literally, oh, you should.
It's the same cutscene.
Yeah, it is the same scene, obviously. But it's oh, you should take responsibility and not blame yourself. You should try and make it better next time. And then Ratchet's like, next time, because apparently Drek would just stop.
The only way I could think of it, like, because the media actually blamed Ratchet. Like, they acknowledged that Quark betrayed them, but they said it was Ratchet's fault. The only conceivable way it could be Ratchet's fault, because he was the only person in the entire space station surrounded by enemies to, like, blame him for failing is ridiculous.
They already know that Quark betrayed them.
The only way they could really say it's your fault is because the tech girl told him, hold up, wait a minute, we can come up with a strategy. And he said, no, don't have time, because he thought Quark was surrounded by an army of guys by himself because he didn't know he betrayed him. So he
that goes to the poorly written theme of the movie. Big heroes do big things is what he says at that line. Grimm explains to him later, heroes don't do big things, they do the right things. And then Ratchet repeats that to Quark later on too. I agree. I don't know why the media blames Ratchet at all. They know Quark betrayed the Rangers. They know Quark is evil now. So you blame Ratchet for being the only one that tries? I don't get. I mean, maybe Alars could have made another plan, and maybe listening to Alars would have worked that time.
I mean, it definitely would have helped out if they sent more than 4 ships.
Looking at how much time that they had, if they show the sequence correctly, Ratchet gets on the ship. On the deplanetizer, I should say, and then immediately finds the core, perfectly somehow. I mean, they had the specs, I guess, so it's fair. He gets right to the center of it and tries to stop it immediately.
He James Bonded that entire race real good.
Even with how much time they would have had to plan, either way, that plan is getting destroyed. And again, everyone was evacuated. They pulled the trigger on not Death Starring it, and I don't agree with that decision at all. I think people should have died.
That's one of my major complaints about the movie, is that, like, because of the kid-friendliness, they don't kill anybody. Like, at the beginning, one guy's texting while Drek is saying something, so he had Sylvester Stallone go up and make a message, or, like...
He eats the phone.
Yeah, he eats the phone, but lets the guy go. Later on, they don't, like, kill any soldiers or anything.
There's no killing until Nefarious hijacks it.
Well, no, Drek at one point kills, like... a few blargs by like setting them out into space.
There's a little memorial scene for Victor, which I thought was nice. That was a cool touch.
Yeah.
I actually like what they did in the game more, though. In the game, when Victor dies, there's a little part of the deplanetizer where it's like, there's a memorial for Victor Von Ion. 5 bolts at the door. And it was just, I liked that line. It was a good line.
Nefarious just shoots a guy. But other than that, everybody gets conveniently evacuated. Nobody, the old man that I mentioned at the beginning gets ejected and gets sent, a mile into the air, but he conveniently landed on poison ivy and didn't die, despite the fact that he couldn't walk.
It's just, no one dies almost until Nefarious shows up, I should say.
I mean, I wouldn't want him to die anyway. I felt bad for him.
Well, no, I don't want characters to die just to die, but if you're going to send a message...
Yeah, there's got to be impact.
I mean, it just felt too kiddie a decision for me. So Ratchet decides to rejoin the Rangers because Clank said 5 words, and
and Grimm helped a little bit.
Grim helped a little bit too earlier, but then Ratchet or the Rangers show up. Clank brings the Rangers to the planet to Veldin, and they make a new plan, and they listen to Alaris this time, and Alaris makes a good plan. And
development.
Yeah,
project management.
Yeah, exactly. Also Zed. Zed's a character.
Who's Zed?
He is the little robot. Don't worry about it. He's not important.
No, he's not. He switched teams.
My buddy Mario mentioned it to me. That I did a villain counter for my review of Ratchet Clank 2016.
Yeah.
And I did 5, and when I did the review, I honestly forgot Zed was a character. He's that unimportant.
Well, he's pretty much Wheelie from Transformers. He just switched teams because...
Actually, yeah, he's exactly Wheelie from Transformers.
But that said, though, this movie didn't have any Shiv Helix, and I think that was its biggest downfall.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, there's one bit I want to go back to. Quark sees Novalis gets destroyed, and he looks sad, and then he sees Drek driving by in his car, and he knows that...
Scooter.
On his Segway, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna go talk to Drek, and then he sees Nefarious. And this is literally 10 seconds after Quark sees the planet get destroyed, as we see in the game, because they show that scene in the game. Quark sees Nefarious, Nefarious looks at him and smiles. Why is that not in the game? I don't get it. Like, that would have been so absolutely perfect for the game. It just...
Yeah, there were a lot of scenes that would have increased
anything between
cohesion
Quark
in
and
the game.
It was absolutely ridiculous. That it upsets me more than anything, because Nefarious is the best character in this, I would argue. He is so solid. Every delivery, like every little bit, is perfect about Nefarious. So Nefarious hijacks the story. He turns Drek into a sheep with the Sheepinator, and what they don't show in the game is that he shoots Drek onto New Quartu. And if you played the first game, you know that New Quartu, or in that case New Orxon, gets destroyed by the deplanetizer. But they don't show that in the game at all. And so I know there are fans that were like, "Oh, I wonder if Drek will come back in the second game in the movie series." No, he's not. He dies. They show that.
He's like the third death.
He absolutely dies, and I like that. Again, keep Drek out of the way. Make Nefarious the villain if we're gonna do a movie series here, because Nefarious deserves to be the villain. Anyway, they get to the deplanetizer. Quark sees Ratchet and then fights him. Again, Quark. In this case, Quark is still being brainwashed by the
It's just jealousy.
He doesn't know that Drek has been turned into a sheep yet.
He doesn't know that Nefarious is the one calling the shots.
Yeah, he kind of does. He mentions that he says to Drek, I know that Nefarious is involved. You have no idea what's going on here. And Nefarious calls Quark out. Again, they show this in the game a little bit, but he says why did you sell out, Quark? Was it for your box? You're facing another box of cereal or something, so on and so forth.
Yeah, Nefarious's line there was fantastic.
Like it's so perfect. The interaction between those two characters is phenomenal. More so than in the games. I think in any game in the series. I think Nefarious and Quark go at it so well in this movie.
But Quark actually overpowered Ratchet before he even took out the tornado shooter.
Quark was doing better than Ratchet in the fight, and this is the only fight in the game, really.
The movie.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, right.
This is the only fight in the movie. It was okay. It was mostly a dodge and shoot new weapons sequence. I guess that's okay. There was no Groovatron, which kind of made me sad. No Groovatron is always a disappointment. Quark realizes Ratchet has a card of Quark, a little collectible card, and it flies out because of the tornado launcher. And Quark's like, "Oh, people looked up to me. What am I doing?" And he realizes that he was tricked, and so he apologizes, and then Nefarious shows up, and Nefarious and Quark go at it with the banter for like a good 3 minutes of this.
They actually lampshade that really good too, because of the other Galactic Rangers, and I just noticed we never really talked about like Brax the Destroyer or whatever his name is.
Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. But they're like talking, they're like, we don't have much time, and then like it cuts back to Nefarious and Quark going, "Nuh-uh, that one-liner didn't make any sense." Yeah, it did.
It's just. They go at it so well, and it's I can't remember too many of the lines in detail right here, but it was just
all the last laugh will be on you.
Oh yeah, you'll have the last the
last laugh will be on you.
Yeah, that's what he said. Because Quark's trying to do a witty one-liner, and then Nefarious goes, "That doesn't even make any sense." And they just go at it for a while, and it's just so good. I want to see more of that in future games, but I know they won't be able to because of how the games end up playing out.
But yeah, Nefarious ends up, like, the two, like, split up, and somehow Nefarious, like, with one gun manages to, like, target them both, like, surprisingly accurately.
What happens is that's when the ship, that's when they use the mag booster to pull the whole deplanetizer out of orbit. The deplanetizer is now focused on planet Umbris, which has a volatile core, and if that core explodes, the whole system goes with it. They don't say galaxy, they say system.
This is important.
They don't imply system, they don't imply galaxy, they just kind of say it. So stuff happens. They pull it out of orbit, and it destroys New Core 2 and misses the planet Umbris.
Kills Drek. Who unsheeped.
Yeah, he unsheeps, and then he's like, oh no. Because there's artificial gravity, I guess the mag booster pulls them out of artificial gravity. I guess. They don't really explain why that works the way it does, but Ratchet...
I think they pulled him within orbit, like, past the wrong point.
Nefarious pulls the Rhino out on Quark and says, it's a personal favorite creation, the Rhino.
And then even gives
and then stands for Ripia, a new one, and they show little subtitle, and they TM it at the end.
TM.
With a little, yeah, I liked that. What I didn't like is that they just take down Nefarious in a second. Ratchet just hits him with a wrench, and then he falls to his death.
Which is the only time they actually use the wrench. They kind of, like, foreshadow it with, like, Clank taking out a wrench to defend himself from Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
Okay, so the only way that I can see that being justified is if they were to do a sequel and have Nefarious be the main villain, which...
I think that's the goal here.
I mean, I would love that to be the goal. I don't see it happening based on the performance of this movie.
I have thoughts about that. We'll get there. To use Nefarious' favorite word, he gets annihilated. Then they're able to escape on Drek's Segway, and they make it to a teleporter. They teleport out. Happy ending. Everyone's happy. Ratchet says to Clank, "Oh, I'm sorry, bud, but I have to go. I held the promise because he promised to help Grimm at his chop shop." Quark goes on his book deal.
He gets demoted to private.
He gets demoted to private in the Galactic Rangers, but does his apology tour with a book deal. He does an interview, which I thought was great. He does an interview with Juanita, and what do you have to say for yourself? And he goes, "This will be the most humble moment of all time," or something like that, which I thought was...
No, you will be amazed by my humility.
That's what it was. That was a great line. Great delivery. Again, Quark is fantastic. So Clank helps Ratchet with the chop shop and, best buds. And then they do a post-mini credits. It's not after the credits. It's in between the first set of credits and the second set of credits, I guess.
It's in between, like, the acting credits and the production credits.
They show Robot Nefarious. It's glorious. It's fantastic.
Oh my god, I almost finished.
I
almost finished up my experience.
I almost finished my drink of Mountain Dew Pitch Black, sponsored by Kodak Films.
Yeah,
Mountain Dew, the purple one.
Yeah, dude, the film climaxed with me.
The movie ends. Nefarious is awesome. My theory is that if they do a sequel movie, because at the beginning of the movie they showed a PlayStation Originals thing, which is a new brand, I guess, that Sony is doing.
Sly Cooper's probably gonna get under there
if they do it. I don't think they're gonna do that one. But if they do a second Ratchet movie, I think that Sony might take up the production themselves. The plan seems to be to do a sequel, and I think if they gave it a higher budget, and I think they realize this, the budget is what killed this movie.
Yeah, they need to. War movie.
Yeah, they need to give it some love. I think overall, it just seemed like it was a rushed project that could have been really, really, really good, and somehow they made it turn out really good, which is ultimately not a bad thing. But you get out what you put in. They didn't put in a lot. They're not going to get out a lot. And I think they did set it up for a sequel. So if they do decide to make a sequel and they give it some love, it'll be much better.
What I could actually see is there's probably a lot of examples, but I'm too tired to think of any. Like, movie, okay, not gonna gross enough to be worth making another one, but they have the plot set up, so maybe like a very short TV show or something, a few episodes worth.
The animation would be too expensive for it, I think. I think the budget for the movie was insanely low. I don't know how much the advertising budget was, but I think even with how poorly the film seems to be performing, I think it can still make its money back, because it was making about $1 million a day yesterday and today, I believe, which is very decent for a movie with a $15 million budget. And the game's going to make up... The game is the fastest selling in the series. It will be the best selling in the series by the time it's done selling. So the game's going to make up most of the budget there, and that is fine. Again, it's incredibly solid. Again, shout out to Nefarious and Quark specifically. They are fantastic in this. It probably shouldn't be called Ratchet and Clank, because it's not as much about them as it is those two characters. Those two characters are wonderful whenever they're in a scene. But anyway, we've gone on really long. I would say see it, even if you did just watch our plot summary. I would say see it.
Yeah, I'd say that too.
And
Nico, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, definitely watch it. And don't forget to hit the Crub.
Sponsored by Crub Energy Drink. Get your Crub on.
Crub-tastic.
I like get your Crub on.
I love it.
Oh, God. All right, guys. Thanks for suffering through this with us. Not you guys. You guys both suck.
Well, no. I suffered too. I had my Greek yogurt today.
They're not.
What?
That's okay.
Was it expired?